Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the fourth day of Avenir 2021, which is a 9-day virtual career guidance program launched by Indian School Al Wadi Al Kabir under the aegis of the Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Oman. The cat's eye color, golden brown, on day 4 reflects intrapersonal intelligence, which is related to self awareness and the ability to recognize one's strengths and weaknesses. Students having a high quotient of this intelligence can excel as researchers, philosophers, counselors, and therapists. I would like to begin with a quote by Swami Vivekananda. We want that education by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, the intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet. While Avenir 2021 opens up a world of opportunities and possibilities for our aspiring students, we hope that they soar higher, supported by the wings of values and ethics on one hand, and an attitude to serve and make choices towards the greater common good on the other.
It is for this very reason we have in our midst today an officer from the esteemed Indian Foreign Services, deputed in the Sultanate of Oman, who has a passion for learning and who is currently serving as the second secretary at the Embassy of India here in Muscat, managing the departments related to political, educational, and information services. On behalf of Indian School Al Wadi Al Kabir, I, Mahiti of Class 9 from ISWKI, and Savio of Class 12 from ISWK, extend a warm welcome to Mr. Anuj Swarup. Welcome to Avenir 2021. We're delighted to have you with us today. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome the Chairman of Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman, Dr. Shivakumar Manikam. We wholeheartedly welcome dignitaries from the Ministry of Education, officials from the Indian Embassy. A cordial and courteous welcome to all the members of the Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Oman.
A hearty welcome to Mr. Alkesh Joshi, the Honorary President of ISWK Management Committee, and other members of the School Management Committee of Indian School Al Wadi Al Kabir. A heartfelt welcome to the principals, vice principals, assistant vice principals, CBAC officials, HODs, coordinators, supervisors, and the entire teaching fraternity across the globe. I am extremely delighted to welcome students from all over the world, parents, and all other invitees. We cordially welcome the distinguished members of the business community, members of the educational cell, our chief sponsor study co, and our other sponsors, our digital partners, media partners, and valued donors. Thank you one and all for your gracious presence here this morning.
It is with sheer joy and great pride that I undertake the task of introducing our guest speaker for the morning, Mr. Anuj Swarup. After completing his electronics and communications engineering from JSS Academy of Technical Education in Noida, Mr. Anuj Swarup went on to do an MBA from the Faculty of Management Studies in Delhi. Working on night shifts at the NTPC, which is India's largest electricity generating company, as an engineer, he recounted in one of his online sessions with students how it filled him with a sense of pride, as he felt that they were doing something for the nation. It was this experience that made him think about preparing for the civil service examinations. Mr. Anuj Swarup joined the Indian Foreign Service IFS in 2016, and he was posted in Abu Dhabi before his tenure at the Indian Embassy in Muscat.
Dear participants, you're requested to fill in the feedback form, which will be posted in the description box towards the end of the session. Filling this form is necessary as it would fetch you a participation certificate. You're also requested to post your queries in the Q&A box. Our speaker will try to answer them in the Q&A session. Now, with great honor and pride, I invite Mr. Anuj Swarup to please address the virtual gathering this morning. We are all truly honored to have you speak to our participants at Avenir 2021 and eagerly await to hear from you.
Good morning, Namaskar, my colleagues at the BOD, SMC members from Indian School Wadi Kabir and other schools, principals, teachers, and dear students. It's an honor and uh, to be here with you and speak about my journey, about the UPSC exam and life as an IFS officer. I'm sure many of you, you know, I'm sure many of you would be civil services aspirants, and I hope that this session, this knowledge sharing session, helps some of you to firm up your mind to enter civil services and help you in your preparation. So what I have done is that I have prepared a very small presentation. First, I will go through that presentation. It covers the basics of the UPSC exam, then about my service, that is Indian Foreign Service. And I also will briefly speak about our ministry, that is Ministry of External Affairs. And then we will open the floor for Q&A. Let me begin with the presentation. I will share my screen and then we will start. So I assume this is visible to all of you, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So yes, so like we say, Avenir, be future ready. So yes, to be to take a very informed decision, to be future ready. It's always a good idea to have a good idea about what all career options are there. And I'm sure this edition of Avenir, which is being posted by Indian School Wadi Kabir, it has gone truly global. I have been informed that there have been more than 10,000 registrations, and at the same time there are students who are participating from not only from Oman, from countries within the region and other countries also. So congratulations to the team of Indian School Wadi Kabir for organizing this mega event. So here I am. I will speak on, as I mentioned, I will speak on the UPSC Civil Services exam and life in Indian Foreign Service. So UPSC is the Union Public Service Commission, which is responsible for conducting various exams. It's a constitutional body, and it also conducts this exam for the civil services, through which it recruits people for the for services like Indian Administrative Services, Indian Police Services, IFS, Indian Foreign Services, then other services in the central government. So my first part will focus on this examination. So it's one second. Yes. So it's a this examination is conducted in 3 stages. So its first stage is the preliminary examination, which is the qualifying one. Then is the mains examination. We call it the mains examination, which is so preliminary examination is objective type. It has I will go through it in detail in my next slides. And the third stage is the personality test. So usually on an average in India, almost 10 lakh or 1 million candidates apply for the exam, and mostly half of them, half a million candidates appear in the preliminary examination. And from those half a million students, almost 12 to 15,000 qualify for the mains examination. And then from those 15 to 12,000, almost 3,000 students give the personality test. And out of those 3,000 students, 1,000 students come up in that, coveted list of selected candidates. Like recently for the 2020 exam, because it was delayed a lot, so the results were recently announced. In fact, I remember yesterday or day before yesterday, the top 20 candidates were, facilitated by the central government. Okay. Yes. So in a usual, we are talking about non-COVID years, so to say. So usually the examination notification for UPSC Civil Services exam comes around, somewhere in February, and the preliminary exam is held somewhere in June to July, and the result comes, it's in August. Then the mains exam is usually conducted between September to November, and the personality tests are conducted, from March to May. The key point here is that the first stage preliminary examination is only a qualifying one. You need not, it's okay. The students need to just clear the cutoff. And yes, all this is the basic education requirement is that you have to be a graduate from any university or a deemed university. And the complete details one can always refer to the official website, UPSC's official website, and it gives a lot of complete details about the requirements, education requirements and everything. And I would request, once you start, the students enter into their graduation, they should just have a look at this notification. So as I was mentioning, the preliminary examination is an objective one which we need to qualify. Then the mains examination is an objective one in which we have different subjects. So let's have a look at those. So as I was mentioning, the preliminary examination, it has two question papers. One is a general studies one, where 200 marks, and there is another one which is CSAT, which is basically aptitude. It has questions from English, it has questions from 10th level maths, it has questions of logical reasoning, which you only need to qualify. So the general studies paper is the one which will determine your that is taken into account for your whether you qualify or not. The score in your first this general studies question paper, it is only taken into account provided the student has qualified in CSAT, and the qualifying criteria is 33%. Okay. Then we move on to mains examination. It has it has two components to it. Total 9 question papers, and the paper 1 and paper 2 is one Indian language. It can be Hindi or any other language from the 8th schedule of the Constitution, and paper 2 is English. The important part is that the student, they need to qualify these. They need to score a minimum criteria. Uh, otherwise, the other papers for which your scoring is taken into account for generating the your merit list. If you are not qualifying these two papers, then your your other score is not even considered. So it is really important, because I have seen during my preparation time, and after that also, many really good candidates making this mistake of taking these two things not very seriously, and then uh, they were well prepared. They could have really scored well in the mains examination and qualified for the interview, but then they did not qualify this language papers. So as I mentioned, the 7 exams, the 7 question papers that are taken into account for determining your qualification for the next stage of the exam is these 7 papers. First is an essay, in which you're supposed to write essay, and you can give exam in many different languages. It's not as if that it is only a English specific exam. You can, I think, write in Hindi also and other languages also. Paper 2 is a general studies one, which is basically history. It covers culture, history, geography. Then there is paper 3, which is also a general studies paper. It's about the polity, governance, constitution, and it covers some part of the international relations. Then the paper 4 is general studies 3, which is basically science and technology, environment, and topics from economy. Then paper 5, it covers ethics and integrity. So it takes care of that. Then paper 6 and 7 are the optional subjects. So usually there is a long list of optional subjects. Like in my case, it was geography. So I gave geography papers, geography 1, geography 2, and the total the total is 1750. So like I was checking yesterday, the cutoff is approximately 42%. So the thing is that it looks as if that so many students are appearing, and whether I will be able to qualify or not. You need not focus on these issues. You just I always request students to think. First is that They right now, especially the school students, they need to really focus on their boards and their, whatever they are studying right now, so that they enter, they get into a really good uh, institute for their graduation, because that really helps in your overall personality development. And then maybe once they enter a good institute and they are after say first year, and if they are really want to do the civil services, then they can start preparing, because the exam itself is very dynamic. So what you are studying say today will not be relevant 2 years down the line. In fact, when I was giving these exams, just so I first attempted in 2013, so that is when this new pattern came into being. Otherwise before that, it used to be there were different subjects. So there were two optional subjects. So I started my preparation with two optional subjects, but by the time my time came, in fact 2013, the pattern was totally changed, and it many students uh, couldn't adapt or couldn't cope with that pattern change. In fact, even in prelims also, for 2 years I was very comfortable, because CSAT was considered in your score for your qualifying the preliminary examination. But in third year, it was only made that you need to score in paper 2 33% and above, and your qualifying will be from the paper 1, that is the general studies paper. So you can imagine that the question paper and the exam itself is always it's very dynamic in that sense. Yes, so the stage 3, as I mentioned, is the interview. It's of 275 marks. Normally in in interview, if you have some work experience, then you can expect some questions from your work experience. But mostly it is, so before your personality test, they ask for a very detailed application form, that is called DAF, detailed application form, in which you are supposed to write everything about you, your family, your education, your achievements and all that. And mostly the questions are from that DAF only. And maybe also the board, the UPSC board panel members, they would ask you situation questions, since you are entering into a civil service. So they may give you a scenario, and they would then want to know how you will react to it, or how you will take care of that, something like that. Okay, so uh, your marks in mains examination as well as your interview examination clubbed together, it comes out to be 2025, and your total marks are taken into consideration while deciding on your rank. So like for last year, the latest examination CSC 2020, the cutoff for being in the list of selected candidates were 47%. Okay, now, second part of my presentation, which is, so like I mentioned, I qualified the examination thrice. I gave my interview thrice. I think I did not had the benefit of forums like this, in which, a very free knowledge sharing could happen. So maybe that was something lacking in my preparation, and I could not, crack the interview part of it. So but in civil services exam 2015, I finally was able to crack it, and I was allocated the Indian Foreign Service. So I joined Indian Foreign Service in 2016, uh, right? And for us, like for every service, there is an institute. So for us in foreign service, our institute is called Sushma Swaraj Institute of Foreign Service. It is located in Delhi. It's based in Delhi, and after selection in UPSC exam, and after your service allocation, what happens is that you are you go a very exhaustive comprehensive training program, which starts from the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Missouri. That is the foundation course. It's a 3-month foundation course, in which many candidates from IAS, IPS, IRS, IFS, many services, they undergo a 3 months foundation course, which is basically about basics about governance, basic processes and all that. After that, so this usually starts in August end or September first week. And after 3 months, the probationers who are of IFS, they come to Delhi. uh, and the institute is self-sufficient, in the sense that you live there only, your classes are held there only. And so the training during SSIFS is almost 9 months of classroom training. and then 3 months of 3 months of desk attachment. We call it desk attachment within MEA in the sense that you work in one of the divisions of MEA for 3 months. But during your 9 months of training in SSIFS, it's really dynamic in the sense that there are a lot of attachments. So you do your Bharat Darshan, in which you travel all across the country for almost 3 weeks, exploring and understanding India firsthand. A Then there are attachments with the Indian Army, Indian Navy, and Indian Air Force, in which you are, in small groups, you are sent to different locations of these Indian Army, Navy, and Air Force, and you understand, about their role in their overall role, and about the security of the nation. Then there are attachments with other organizations also, and then there is a week of mission attachment also, which is which is the first exposure of a IFS probationer of working in a foreign embassy, Indian embassy in a foreign country. So like in my case, my batchmates, some of us went to Bangladesh, and it was really interesting because we had a very busy, uh, very exhaustive, but at the same time, it was a good learning experience of 1 week of attachment with our High Commission in Bangladesh. And the day we landed, it was Holi, so we started off on a high note of playing Holi with all our colleagues in the embassy, and also members of Indian diaspora and our friends in Bangladesh. And then it was a very exhaustive engagement. After this almost 1 year of training in India, then during every IFS probationer is allocated a foreign language. Basically, you need to learn a foreign language, which we call CFL. It is the compulsory foreign language, and so to learn that, you are posted to different countries. So, like in my case, it's Arabic. Usually, we used to go we go to Cairo in Egypt for the CFL training, but for my batch, it was in Qatar and Abu Dhabi. So I went to Abu Dhabi, and after that, you are posted to different countries in the world. So after finishing off my CFL training, which involved first half you would do your language classes, and in second half you would work in the embassy, so that you really get a first hand experience of what diplomacy is all about, what the work of an IFS officer is all about. And then I was posted to Oman. Okay, so this is basically just a very brief about the career progression of IFS officers. So you join as third secretary, then you become second secretary, which right now I am, then first secretary, counselor, minister, ambassador. These are very standard designations which are followed all across the world. So and when we are posted in headquarters, that is in Delhi, we start as under secretary level, then you are promoted to a deputy secretary, director, joint secretary, additional secretary. Okay. Then this is a basic structure of how a mission is headed. So at the top we have our ambassador or high commissioner, depending on who where you are, and then usually there is a deputy chief of mission also, and then there are different wings within the embassy which take care of different aspects, and those are headed by second secretary or senior officers, depending on the mission. Uh, so as I mentioned, it's a very dynamic, in IFS it's a very dynamic work profile. You basically, if I have to just summarize, a diplomat serves as a, so to work together in today's era of interlinked world. If two countries of two countries need to speak, so you act as a link between them. So if there is any new proposal, there is any new, any new project that both the countries want to work on, or if there is any issue between the two countries, that is where your role comes in. As a diplomat posted in that country, you act as a link between the two governments. That is single line definition of it, single line description of our work profile. That involves various things. You serve the Indian diaspora. One reports the major developments in the country where you are posted to back home in India. We really work very closely with the local government on various issues. Like right now, there was a time when flights were not operating between India and Oman. So, for all these similar issues, you work really closely with the government of your host country. Okay. Uh, then these are basically functions of an IFS officer, which I described in my previous slide also. It's fairly different. If I have to say so, in a day, you may be working on a report which you need to send back to ministry. Then you may be working on inputs for some event or some meeting that is supposed to happen between the leadership of two countries. Then after that, you take care of you try and support someone who is seeking your input about any issue. It can be as simple as expediting the process of a visa or expediting the issuance of a passport. And then in the evening you could have an event, say like now we are planning we recently uh, officially released a book, very nice book about India-Oman relationship. So it's fairly varied. You can start off with your day with something as routine as preparing a report or something, and it can your day can end with something as interesting as even being a marriage officer. So recently, I think on Thursday, we one of our colleagues in embassy, she had her wedding, and I was officiating as the marriage officer. So you can imagine the diversity of your work profile. Okay, then now something about, this is the last part of my presentation, is something about my ministry, that is Ministry of External Affairs. It was established in 1946. We celebrate the Indian Foreign Service Day on 9th October. And MEA, like we say, any Indian embassy for Indian diaspora is home away from home. And we do provide a lot of services over the years, like issuance of passport, issuance of legal documents, issuance of visas to nationals of other countries, and all that. And over the years, our diplomatic presence has really increased. Now uh, we have a international organization, that is the International Solar Alliance, based in India. Uh, and now recently you would have noticed that in August, India was the president of UNSC. India is a part of as a non-permanent member of UNSC. So at UN also we are at UN we are playing a very different role right now. So uh, overall, what I'm trying to say is that yes, our diplomatic footprint has increased tremendously, and at the same time our diplomatic engagements have also expanded tremendously. I mean, so at one point of time you can notice that 2-3 VIP visits are going on. So maybe one incoming visits, and two of our honorable ministers are traveling outside, or even honorable prime minister is traveling outside. So a lot of engagement. So diplomacy is all about talking and engaging with your counterparts. Yes, that's more than 190 missions and posts basically all across the globe. Then the MEA is having a big presence within India also, in terms of ICCR regional centers, that the cultural centers, then Passport Seva Kendra, and also Protectorate of Immigrants. Basically, it is for this PO is there for the safe and legal migration of Indian nationals to different countries outside the world. These are our we MEA is one of the most active ministries of government of India on social media. These are our handles. If you really want to know more about what work MEA does and what's happening in the international diplomacy from an Indian perspective, I would request many of you to follow us on social media. And that's all from my presentation. Thank you. These are my coordinates on Twitter and Instagram if anyone wants to get in touch. Thank you. Thank you.
That was such an extraordinary and inspiring session, Mr. Anuj Swarupji. I am sure it has made some of our students seriously consider taking the UPSC exams and thereby qualifying to join the Indian Civil Services. Now, we would like to request our most honored speaker, Mr. Swarup, to kindly answer a few questions put forth by the audience. Sir, may I now invite a moderator for the session, Ms. Avni, to share with you the questions raised by our audience.
Thank you. Avni, we can't hear you.
Sir, are you able to hear me now? Yes. Sir, so the first question our audience has asked is, what is the most interesting part about your job as an officer in the Indian Foreign Affairs? We would like to know that.
So, all part of my job is really interesting to say the least. As I mentioned, you work you work on so many different things in a day that you really never get a, it's always something interesting, something new, something challenging. It keeps you going, that daily dose of excitement and challenge. It keeps you really on your toes, and it keeps you inspiring to do your best. But yes, the best part is that you represent, as a diplomat, you represent your country, you represent India, what India stands for. uh, that is something which swells, it swells my heart with pride, when you know it's really, one feels really happy to see our tricolor flying over the embassy. And it's a daily reminder of, yes, you are there, you are in a foreign land, away from your closest family, but yes, you are there to serve the nation and our Indian diaspora in that country.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have another question for you. Can one prepare for the UPSC exam on one's own, or does one need to undergo some specific coaching? That's another question
So
that has been raised.
yeah, it's true. So, like in my case, because I was working with the NTPC and I was not posted in a metro city, so I was not taking a very classroom kind of a coaching. But yes, I did subscribe to few test series to know my level of preparation for the examination, maybe for for both the stages, like preliminary examination, mains examination. So what I recommend is that it is always a good idea to at least take mock exams, because you will get to know, the student will get to know the level of preparation, what are his strong areas, what are his or her weak areas. uh, Classroom coaching does help, but it only helps in the sense that you grasp the pattern of the exam, and you also are able to directly see the competition. So it pushes you in a way to perform better. And if someone who is not going to college, he or she has completed the graduation, and they feel that they need some kind of routine, so going for a coaching is always a good idea. But let me tell you, it doesn't matter. In final selection, you will see people who have been taking who have done their very classroom coaching for say 2 years, 3 years, and there are students who have done their self study. They have only given maybe some mocks, and they are also there on the list. So it's again a matter of personal choice, to be honest.
Thank you, sir. We have another question. Does one get to choose which part of Indian civil services one wants to join, or is it assigned based on our marks in our interview?
So while filling up the detailed application form, one is asked to give your preference of the services for which you want to apply. So it's up to the candidate, it's up to the student, that whether what all service. So someone wants to give IS as its first option, someone will give police service, someone will give foreign service. So that is one part of it. So you give your preference for a particular civil service while filling up that DAF, but also your rank will determine what service you will get. So if say your rank is not in say top 100 or top 200, so one may not get say IS or maybe even IFS, but yes, police service or other services one may able to get. So it's both your choice come your rank.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. We have one more question for you. Sir, as a diplomat, what is the difficult part of your job? What would you describe as the most difficult part of your job?
It's interesting question. I think it's not difficult, but uh, uh, rather I would like to say, put it like this, that after every 3 years you make a move. So for a diplomat in Indian Foreign Service, the usual tenure is 3 years. So after every 3 years, you either make a move back home to India or to a different country. So that transition period, it's an additional kind of a period in which you uproot your family, your connections that you have made, your friends that you have made, and then you go to a new country, and one needs to start performing as early as possible. So that transition, or that change, that regular change, is something which some people are fine with it. Some people actually love that change, but at the same time, it puts an additional pressure on the officer and also the family to cope and adapt with that change.
I think one last question for you, sir.
Yes.
Can you explain your preparation for the method of civil service examination?
Okay, so in my case, like I was working with NTPC Limited, so I could not. I never went for a full time coaching. So what I used to do was, after coming back from office, I'm just sharing my routine, if it is helpful for our students who are watching us. So post coming back from office, I used to maybe take a break and then prepare in the night. So I used to make sure that, so regularity is the key. It does not matter if you are studying only for 2 hours in a day, or studying for 4 hours, but the thing is that you have to study daily. So every day I used to study, depending on my schedule and other things. I used to study in the night for 4 hours, 5 hours, 3 hours, whatever, and yes, I always I had this in mind, that since preliminary examination is the one which really the cutoff comes into play, because so many people give the exam, but only 15,000 qualify for writing the mains. So I used to really focus on the preliminary examination. uh, yes, I used to take a lot of mock exams for preliminary examination, and even the mains examination, which were available online, right? So I couldn't travel very frequently to, say, I was posted in a remote place which was 120 kilometers away from capital, Lucknow, capital of UP. So I used to take a lot of mock exams also, the online ones. Then before the examination, I used to take a leave, so that I really, for the last 1 month, I will take a leave, with kind permission of my seniors in the NTPC. And then I used to stay at home and, devote fully to the examination, revise everything. Because, in this exam, it is important to finish the syllabus, but it is most critical to be able to recall it. Especially during preliminary examination, you need to be very sure that which option you want to is correct. You cannot make blind guesses, because there is negative marking. So if you make a blind guess, your score really comes down, so you will not be able to qualify. Then for personality test, I used to give a lot of mock personality interviews in Delhi or some other city. The one thing which really helped me finally was that, watching yourself giving that interview. So usually all of them give a CD of your interview. So that was a very direct feedback, that how I am approaching a question, where I am making a mistake. And yes, these sessions, like now, thankfully, because of technology, many sessions are these, like with Eviner and other sessions are available online, which one can always refer to and just take some inputs. Ultimately, it all depends on the person, how one wants to prepare. So there are students who will prepare along with their graduation, for the UPSC. Then there are students who will take a break of 1 year or 2 year and then prepare for the UPSC exam and give it a go. One more thing which I feel is important is, in this examination, because once you start, you say you qualify one stage one of the examination, and because of any reason you don't qualify finally, many students, make this mistake of trying it, giving it a go, for 4 years, 5 years. It's common, but the thing is that, one always needs to have a plan B also, that what will you do if you don't qualify this civil services examination. And again, qualifying an examination doesn't gives it is not a certificate that you are the best, you are the best brain. It's just that a student is not fit, no, not exactly fit. The student is not able to qualify one exam, but you will do better, or even better in some other area of your study, or some other career option. So one has to keep always this in mind. So sometimes few students end up wasting a lot of time only chasing this UPSC dream, which I feel is not the right way. One needs to have a so I will give it a go for 2 years or 3 years, and then if it works out for me, then fine. Otherwise, I will do this. So I will go for a PG. I will join this area. I will do this job, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm really thankful to you for answering all the questions raised by our audience. I would like to hand over the speakers the mic again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for the support and guidance given to the large audience by you. You meticulously attended to their concerns and so patiently shared your views in the course of the discussion. Now, as we draw to an end of this enriching session, I deem it my great privilege to propose the vote of thanks. Let me first express my profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq Al Said for the magnanimous benevolence showered on the Indian diaspora in the Sultanate of Oman. May the Almighty shower abundant blessings on His Majesty and His country. We extend our heartfelt thanks to the eminent speaker, Mr. Anuj Swarup ji, for the informative session. Thank you, sir.
Our deepest sense of appreciation and gratitude to Dr. Shivakumar Manikam, Chairman, Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman, and other honorary members on the Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman. Thank you for your encouraging presence and guidance at all times. Our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Alkesh Joshi, the Honorary President, Indian School Management Committee, and other members of the Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir Management Committee for their profound encouragement at all times. I also wish to take this opportunity to express our heartfelt gratitude to the prudent captain of the ship, Mr. D. N. Rao, Principal ISWK, Honorable Principals of the Schools of the MENA region, Indian Schools in Oman, Vice Principals, Assistant Vice Principals, Coordinators, Supervisors, and the entire teaching fraternity for your support and guidance. Thank you.
We are indeed grateful to our platinum sponsor, StudyCo, gold sponsors, Jain Group of Institutions, Grey Matter Academics, and Weller Institute of Technology, bronze sponsors, Middle East College, Topper University, and Dallas Baptist University, our digital partner, Spectrum, and our media partner, The Arabian Stories, for their support in making this mega event a tangible reality. I wish to thank each and every student and parent for their valuable presence in making this session a grand success. An event of this kind requires the coordination of a committed team. Thank you to the ISWK team for making Avenir 2021 something we can all be proud of. The next session is by the University of Adelaide from 12 to 12:45 p.m. Goodbye and take care.
Thank you.